Welcome to Apex Racing TV and welcome to a special broadcast tonight ahead of the Sebring 12 hours on iRacing. We've got our own mini 12 hours, but it'll just be 1 hour and a half around the famous circuit in Florida, USA. You may remember a couple of weeks ago we did this for the Bathurst 12 hours where we started in our session in the daytime, ended it at night and ended it just as the sun came up. Today we'll be doing it starting in the day and ending when the sun goes down and under the lights, or the floodlights, not the floodlights, but the headlights of the GT cars. In the commentary box for this one tonight then, for an hour and a half race, it's me, Adam Bath. We've also got Sam Fitzpatrick, who's doing double duty tonight. He was on the V8s earlier. He's moved across for this one. And Sam, to bring you in, we've got a 51 car entry list, just looking at it now. And this is a pretty narrow circuit with quite a few overtaking places, but it's going to be very interesting to see how they're all going to tackle this one, because there's just going to be so many of them on the circuit. So we've got the qualifying session going on at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely, and hopefully this will accurately reflect the real life 12 hours, of course, and the official series 12 hours as well. Will be a good preparation for these drivers, and hopefully will give them a decent representation of where they are on pace, maybe where they need to improve. And it's great to see these IMSA cars back, of course, on Apex Racing TV. We used to cover, or I even was a Apex Racing TV commentator across the IMSA sports car series, and it's great to see this combination of cars once again out on circuit. We're very familiar with the GTEs, of course, and the GT3s as well. And of course, I'm a big fan of the DP myself, so good to see all three cars represented pretty well out there. We've got 7 of the DPs, which, well, considering how the official series usually goes, that's not too bad.
Yeah, completely forgot about that. We did that series for quite a while on Apex Racing TV on a Sunday. Quite a few big names in it as well, including Sam Fitzpatrick. Seeing Sam Fitzpatrick for one of them. Oh yeah, just looking at, as you can see here, we've got the GT3s here in their qualifying session. There, you'll be able to tell which ones they are by the red/pink numbers on the timing tower. The GTEs, which of course are made up of the Ferrari, the Ford, and the Porsche as well, they will be in the blue colours, and the Daytona prototypes will be in the yellow. So that is how we'll be able to differentiate them. And as one of the GTEs goes for a spin there on the exit of the open complex, that was Spencer McCarthy in the geodesic racing car. He's back on the circuit now. Close qualifying for these guys, replicates what they're going to be experiencing for the actual event in a few days' time. Looking here at Ben Gregory, 10X Fitzstein Motorsport, car 113, currently sat in 6th place in class, 1.2 seconds away. Each driver in this event will get 4 flying laps to put in a banker lap and see if any of them are able to improve as we get towards the back end of the session. Some of the drivers are on their final laps, a few others have got maybe 1 or 2 left to go.
Yeah, Gregory in a decent position at the moment. Was very impressive actually at Monza a few days ago, sorry. And well, we'll be looking to back that up on Monday as well in the World GT Championship. And good to see, yeah, like I said, a few DPs out there. Currently, Michele Constantini on pole position. He's 8/10 clear of Chris Robinson. Julien Ribeiro, a Joe who's driven in the LMP1s as well, seems to like these prototypes quite a bit. Currently in third with Dave Soranzo, another LMP1 driver in 4th. Then it's Karen Maxon and Emilio Largo, and also Rolf Justin. Hopefully, Fraser Williamson will be joining us, but not looking too positive at the moment. He has recently left the session, but hopefully we'll see him take to the grid. But quite a variance in Scott. There we've got a few kind of pro drivers. Jamie Fluke in here, so to Josh Thompson, both drivers who will be racing in the GTE World Championship later on in the year. And of course, we've got a few lower quality drivers as well. So might see a little bit of class interaction as well, which could make things a bit interesting.
Yeah, only in the power of league racing on iRacing is what brings these guys together. And hopefully they don't come together on the circuit. We also got Dion Fialo as well in the Thrustmaster Movano racing car that's got a World Championship license. He'll be He's currently provisional pole in the GTE class as we look at Paolo Martins coming out of the final corner now in the Phoenix Motorsports Cup. Over the line he goes. Currently 19th in class. Actually, he's now 18th in class, so 156.326. A new personal best for him. Of course, we've got the BMW set to arrive on iRacing in a few weeks. Sam, of course, you've been having a bit of fun with that on our various social media channels. What will that bring? That'll bring another element to the GTE class, and it's overdue that we get a BMW because the Z4 GT3 car is starting to show its age now. I think it's about 5 years since it made its debut on iRacing.
Yeah, I think so. And honestly, check out our Facebook page, and you'll see what we are talking about. Honestly, one of the proudest things I've ever done in my life. And but yeah, great to see the BMW out there soon. Of course, a couple of weeks away is a very big car, so it'll be difficult to overtake, but I'm sure we'll be lots of fun with it, and I'm hoping that a few of these championships, so far all the ones that I've contacted have said, no, that's an awful idea, but hopefully we'll have a couple of pro cars and a couple of AM cars I'd quite to see, because as our commentators, that would really help us out to know who is in which class. And of course, with the BMW, that will be very possible. And also, of course, crucially for the Le Mans series and the IMSA series, where they will now go up to 7 cars. Remember, only about a year ago, we were stuck with 5 cars. We're up to 7 now. It has really revolutionised iRacing, hopefully, in these multi-class events. And, well, hopefully, soon we'll have maybe 8 different classes with 120 cars at Nürburgring. That's personally what I'm aiming for, but we're getting there, I think.
Well, anybody that watches motorsport at the start of the year will remember the Dubai 24 hours, and we've literally got fully fledged GT3 cars in that, all the way down to GT4 cars, and maybe even some touring cars in there as well. So if we do get Dubai on iRacing, just pulling it out there, we hopefully we'll be able to replicate something like that. One thing that's just noticed me, fastest in the GTDs, I don't know if anybody on the YouTube chat can steer me in the right direction on this. Jan van der Poel in the Tuk Tuk Patrol racing car. I don't know if he's got any, if he's related to the Dutch cyclist at all. I remember watching the Tour de France many years ago on a when I was on study leave from when I finished my GCSEs, and there's a Dutch cyclist in that called Mathieu van der Poel, and I'm just wondering if he is any relation as Emiliano Largo comes through the final corner now. He is a Daytona prototype driver. We're on the nose, riding on board from the nose of the DP. He comes across the line and is not able to improve on his time. So that is the end of the qualifying session. And as we advance to the race now, you can just see the conditions shift there as we get the new iRacing conditions ready. Speaking to Alex Simpson about this in the Ritmos Sports Car Series on Monday, and hoping that we've got the day to night transition now. We just need a few ambient temperature and weather conditions to throw in there too, like rain and stuff like that. And we've got the whole lot. Jan van der Poel, thank you. He is not related to cyclists. We're good on that. Let's run you through the grid then for the 90 minutes here at Sebring. Michel Constantini starting on the pole position there for Barbenera Racing, with the Aussie Chris Robinson alongside him on the front row. It's Julian Ribelot in third in the Simatech eSport team. He's got his teammates, David Saranzo in fourth, with Karen Maxson in fifth and Emiliano Largo in sixth. Moving into the GTEs, Dion Fialo starting on pole position there, Jamie Fluke alongside him. Those two you'd expect know each other well. They also probably know Josh Thompson well. He's starting in third, with Spencer McCarthy in fourth. David Baker in fifth, with Cedric Bolin in sixth in class. And then moving on further back, we've got Rolf Just there in a Daytona prototype car. He's going to be in the thick of the action when the race gets going, if he's going to start in amongst the GTDs. There's Ben Gregory in a Texans Fitzstein Motorsports car. And we've got Stefan Hebert there in 15th place, Marcel Erang in 16th, 17th Dave Janssen, Tobias Ruff in 18th place. Don't know if that's a bit interesting there, because of course we used to run the Ruff before we moved over to the Porsche. Nathan Parkinson in 19th place overall, Emmanuel Galania in 20th. Into 21st place, the Finnish driver Pertti Karolainen, and then it's Michael Dreschler, then Marcus Broich with the number 1. And then Lee Deemer, the Welshman, in 24th place. Well done, Lee, by the way, on the rugby today. Tobias Burker in 25th, Paolo Martins in 26th, then Lewis Bibby, Pat Gallo, the Aussie, in 28th, John Roberts 29th, and Ben Galite in 30th, 31st David Clements, then Ronald Moons in 32nd, then Reece Gold in 33rd. And then we get into the GTDs, which are the GT3 spec cars. It's Jan van der Poel starting on the pole there, and then we've got another GTD in Josh Rayfield. Then we've got Jamie Wilson in the Team Chimera car. Moving on further, I've got Bob Boland in 37th place overall in the CMR Esports car, and then Lee Woodburn. Then we've got Pedro Bragança, Spirit Sim Racing car, the Portuguese. Then John Navarra in 40th, Dustin May in 41st, then Kobe Clace, Alexis Sherman in the FPS Racing team car, then Roger Rias, the Cuban, then Jake Goodwin, Sergio Souza. We got Renzo Gomez, Mike Sargent, the Canadian, there in 48th place, and still they keep on coming. Stuart Musselwhite in 49th, 50th Fraser Williamson, and then right at the back in 51st position. Don't know whether these two actually got going. I think they haven't left the grid. It's Fraser Williamson in the DP class, and Peter Petrucci in the Lime Rock Racing car. But 51 cars, Sam. I don't think I've recently, anyway. I don't know if the BSRTC's been able to top this. I think that this might just be one of the biggest fields I've ever had the opportunity to commentate on.
Yes, I can't remember too many bigger grids than this. It's absolutely great. Of course, a one-off race this. So great to see the reception that this has got, and well, hopefully we'll have a few. Well, maybe we could do 90 minutes of Indianapolis for the Indy 500. That would be a lot of fun. And I know a lot of Apex Racing TV followers maybe don't have too much experience on Oval, so it'd be even more entertaining, I'm sure, but we'll concentrate on this for now. By the way, of course, you said earlier on how the race would start in the day and end in the night, and once again, the day-night transitions has messed around with my brain, and unfortunately, it only starts at 9:30. I'd like to explain why it starts at 9:30, but it would take quite a while to explain. I'm sure every viewer would get very bored with me very quickly. So it will start at about 9:30 and end at about 4. So we'll have a bit of transition, particularly with the temperatures. But unfortunately, it will probably still be light by the end of the race. But it's still pretty good use for the, of course, the race in just 1 week's time, of course. And yeah, what a race that is going to be. But yeah, 90 minutes. And of course, from Bathurst, we really learned that anything can happen in these races.
Yeah, quite a lot of crashes in that one. The Porsche field was pretty much decimated by the time we got to the end of that one. You can see the conditions we've got there as the Daytona prototype field now trundle down the back straight. 22 degrees ambient temperature, track temperature here. Sorry, no, track temperature is 22 degrees. No, ambient temperature is 22. Just making the most of that. Track temperature is 24. So pretty similar in terms of ambient and track. 45% humidity here. You would expect something of the sort with us being in Florida. And you can see the Daytona prototypes now coming into the final corner. And when we get out of Sunset Bend, we will get the green flag and we'll get the 90 minutes of Sebring underway. We've got an Italian and an Aussie on the front row. See what will happen. Safety car coming into the pit lane then. Michelle Constantini and Chris Robinson bring the field to the green flag, and the 90 minutes of Sebring here on Apex Racing TV are underway as the 6 Daytona prototypes fire their way into the first corner. No changes in position here. Wonder if we could see something similar in the Daytona prototype, Daytona GTDs when we get that field underway, and they have done so now, Sam.
Yep, good start for Fialo, and Fluke just behind, looking for the move maybe into these opening few corners, but not quite being able to make it, and pretty much single file through all those first few corners. We got a few drivers off, and this could be very problematic for the GT3s, but fortunately for them, they seem to have escaped too much incidents. We got another Porsche off as well, and I don't know about you, Adam, but I think that wasn't too much of an issue.
Not too much. There was a danger of some of the cars reversing back onto the circuit, but they are all able to sort that out. And for the 13 GT3s, they were able to carry on their way. Here's Pat Gallo, one of the cars that was involved in that. The Aussie in the Redback racing car. He's now right in the thick of the GT3 action as we get on the hairpin. He might be trying to get some positions back straight away here as a few cars go off at the hairpin. You can see the grass tracks they have left in their wake. Stefan Hebert there, the DH driver in the 44, right in the thick of the action there, as you can see on the timing tower. Dion Fialo might have just been off a little bit. You see the names flashing up in red on the timing tower. Right in the thick of the action here, he's got Pedro Braganza in the Spirit Sim racing car around him. He's gained 3 positions. Everybody trying to find their own bit of track here, which there isn't too much of at Sebring. And up the inside there goes one of the Mercedes, as here comes Van der Poel into the Le Mans complex. He's managed to hold on to his lead, but he's got Jamie Wilson and Bob Bowen right for company here. Mercedes followed by an Audi and a couple more Mercedes. We'll see how the Audi fares around here, because it's not often these days the popular car of choice. Remember when it was, but we'll see what he can do up against the mice of the Mercedes here.
Yeah, definitely. Apparently the Audi is very quick, but it's very unstable, difficult to drive. You see a few pro drivers using it. Certainly last season in the GT Championship we did, as we've got another car very wide at Sunset. I wonder if that's terminal damage maybe for GTE. That was Josh Rayfield, I believe, dropping down the order, as we've got another Mercedes round now. And hopefully these guys will just about scamper through. Yes, they do. Could have been a whole lot worse. And due to all these incidents, we've now got the GT3s and GTEs really mixing with one another, despite a decent gap being left by the GT3s. I must say, upon the race starts, all those incidents have meant that we've got quite a few GTEs out of place, and so a lot of these battles don't even matter too much. But at the front of the GTE battle, all these positions do definitely count, and you can see how they're almost keeping up with the DPs ahead.
Really are. Looking here at Dion Fialo, he's had a very good start in the Ford. He's got Jamie Fluke for company. You saw there at the end of the lap, Josh Rayfield ducking into the pits in the Audi. Sergio Souza, the green Mercedes that spun with him, was able to get back going again and didn't need to make a visit to the pits. Looking here at Josh Thompson in third. Jamie Fluke is right in the middle of a Ford sandwich here, and in the middle of a Thrustmaster Movano Racing sandwich. The Manxman here, Thompson, going through the Le Mans complex. He's going to be going onto the back straight now, and going to be able to see a iconic rivalry that is Ford versus Ferrari acted out here in the early stages of this 90 minutes of Sebring. See what Ford can do. Closing. It looks like the back straight might just not be long enough. But Astor Thompson is playing his cards, keeping his cards close to his chest in the early going here, because as you can see from the timing tower, we've only completed 4 minutes of 90, so plenty of time still to go. But these 3 have already started to pull away as the battle third rages on in the DPs, and that's Rivolo going off, and he's going to be passed by Saranzo in the Simotok eSport car, and that's Saranzo into 4th place.
Yep, nice work there from David, up into 4th as you said. And a great battling amongst these drivers as Thompson is now round. Oh, well, it was a 3-way battle for the lead. It's turned into a 2-way battle. Josh Thompson, of course, he had an awful race in the World GT round this track in a 2-hour event, and in this 1.5-hour event, he's had another spin, and that's really set him back.
Well, because of the commentator's strikes within 5 minutes, they said that he might be biding his time, but now he's really going to have to get the pedal to the metal, because he is now down in 12th position. He's got Briek behind him, or Broik, I should say, in the number 1. There's another car just up front that may have just lost a few positions, but it looks like they might have settled down again. Plenty of position changes going on here in the early going, just in front of. You're looking here at a battle between Marcel Orang and Tobias Ruff, and also Nathan Parkinson in there too, in the Alpine Stars white car. See a few Porsches here too as we go into the Le Mans complex. We've got Ford and Ferrari fighting it out to the front of the class, but the Porsches here not looking not too shabby.
Absolutely, yeah, not too many Ferraris out there. Porsche certainly saw the car of choice, as now the slipstream effect really does play a part. Parkinson on the outside. He's going to have to go all the way around the outside here, because these drivers like their specific lines through this part of the circuit, because it's so bumpy. and you kind of can navigate your way to avoid those bumps occasionally. You can see the cars really oscillating around on the springs that have no doubt they would have put a lot of work into getting that just right, so it takes a minimal effect as we maybe see a move down the inside here from, sorry, that was Aran getting past Ruffton, and now I think it's going to be Parkinson making the move as well down the inside, and he does make that move, so nicely done from Nathan.
Good move there. As these three Porsches continue to fight, you would have seen there at the end of the previous lap that Jamie Fluke put in a new personal best. He remains 4/10 of a second behind Dion Fialo in the Thrustmaster Movano racing car, but great battles in the midfield, and you can even see just in the foreground of the shot there was another three-car scrap that's going on as Galania, the Frenchman, has to defend from Josh Thompson, who is getting ever closer. Got Caroline and the Finn in front of him, but Thompson won't want to spend too much time behind the Frenchman here as we go into the complex around the middle part of the lap. Tower bend might be an opportunity for Thompson to make his move and get into 11th place in class. Let's see if he does. He may be listening. He's a bit too far back to get it done this time, but he's got plenty of other opportunities to do so on this lap. And I fancy his chances of slipstreaming up behind. Riding on board with the number 20, 12 in class, in P19 overall. Lost 10 positions at least from that spin earlier on in the lap, a few laps ago. And the Porsche makes a mistake which makes him potentially easier prey for Thompson. Ford is marauding around the Porsche in front of him. Is he going to look to the inside? He is. Oh, that's very close. Just enough space was left. Thompson up the inside into Sunset Pens. And Manuel still not going to let him have the position without a fight as he holds it out around the outside, even using some of the grass to keep the Ford at base.
Good defence there. Thompson will go for the dummy hit straight to the inside. It's almost impossible to defend going into this turn one because it's such a wide turn in, and that is what Thompson is going to take advantage of. He's down the inside. Gallineer, to be fair, to not giving up, as you said, Adam. But still, he is through, and well, hopefully for Thompson that won't be the next few positions will be a little bit easier than that, because he lost quite a bit of time there. Straight up onto the back though of Hertzie Korolainen though, who was very impressive at the Bathurst race we hosted. We go back to the battle for P3, 4, 5, and 6 in the DPs. Maxon, Ribolo, Saranze, and Largo. These four so evenly matched. They are now 6.5 seconds off Chris Robinson and Shelley Constantini. Of course, Constantini racing for our co-commentator Marco Barbanero, who would have just finished off the UV8 Supercar Series broadcast, I imagine, and representing that team very well. They've got a couple of cars entered into the 12 hours of Sebring in the DP, and then also a GTN, also a GT3, he was telling me, comprised of himself and some other equally bad drivers. So I don't think that's going to be winning the race, but at Daytona I believe they were very competitive, so certainly do watch out for them, of course, on the Race Spot broadcast on the iRacing Esports Network next week.
Hey, well, Emilio Largo was really struggling for grip around the final corner there, and you were just mentioning the gap to Chris Robinson. It's then a further 6 seconds after that to get to our race leader, Michel Constantini, in a 1050 Barbanero racing car. There is our leader. We haven't really seen much of him because he's been in a world of his own really at the moment, or in a class of his own, I should say. Second gap after 6 laps. Take a genius to work out at the rate he is going compared to the rest of the field, as here is Chris Robinson, the Aussie, in second place in the Redback Racing team. Not too many cars around him. I feel he's in the Outback, but he's doing well here. And I've seen a few fans asking after him on the YouTube stream as well. But that's how Chris Robinson's doing. And I wonder if he might be able to start to close the gap if potential traffic starts to arrive. But as you can see from the track map on the right-hand side, that doesn't look like arriving anytime soon, as the battle for third looks like it's on. It is on. Wheel to wheel here between Maxson and Ribolo. This could be interesting going into Tower. The inside goes the Simatuk car, and they're still going to be wheel to wheel here. David Saranto is going to be having a great view of this, but I think Maxson's going to have to slot in behind And Emilio Largo. Oh, that's not going to work. And it very nearly didn't. Durance had to get on the brake pedal a little bit more to stop him running straight into the back of it.
Yeah, of course. It's a Karen Maxson sandwich at the moment, where the Simitok Esports drivers are the bread, but not anymore. It's got an extra filling of Emilio Largo now going down the inside, and he's up into 5th position. So Sorrento drops down another place. They're both really wide off line. Got to be careful of the bumps, as I said earlier on. And now let's see if there could be a response from Sorrento down the inside into turn 1 potentially. It might just be better to stay behind his rival for now and let them catch up to the couple of drivers ahead. But I think this battle is going to go right to the end of the race, because there's absolutely nothing splitting these.
With the track being as bumpy as it is the setting up of the suspension key here, or is it something that the drivers don't really need to worry about?
Oh, absolutely. It's probably the most important circuit I can imagine to set up the suspension, right? Those springs. Got to be a lot of these drivers will know what they're doing. A few drivers maybe won't. But it's a very difficult thing to do. Of course, you've got very high curbs as well, so you've got to manage that as well. And of course, some of the bumps as well, kind of different levels as well. So difficult for these drivers. It seems as though they kind of have the manage on it.
Here is the FPS Racing team. He's looking to the inside of Musselwhite going into the final corner. Two Mercedes battling away here for 8th and 9th in class in a 13-car class. I don't even think Petrucci took the start, so still got 12 cars out on the circuit. And Frugo German, the Argentine, up into 8th place in class after Musselwhite running a little bit wide going through the final corner. Next up on his list, on his relative, will be John Navarra, the Alpine Stars geodesic Beer Vegan car. He is a bit of a way away. There is the American. I say a way away. He's about 1.5 seconds up the road. It'll all be about whether the lap times are good enough for him to get by us. See on the track map, some of the GTEs and the GTDs are interspersed. Sam, our cameraman, putting in the YouTube chat, just pointing out that is due to the issues that we had at the start of the race with quite a few of the GTE cars getting involved in a bit of contact. Here is one of them, Lee Woodburn, in 31st place overall. He has gained 7 of those positions back. But the Ferrari here trying to get past cars that he would not have expected to be fighting with here today, and you can see the state of it just by looking at the overall timing tower on the left. Of course, if you're new to the, if you just arrived, yellow means Daytona prototypes, blue means GTEs, and the red/pink means GTDs / GT3s, as we go back to the order in terms of class. And Woodburn's got Dreschler in front, Aber just in front of him, and behind got Gallo and then Dave Clements. So state of play there as Jamie Wilson goes down the back straight here, second place in the GTD class.
Yeah, so just the top 2 for Woodburn to deal with. Yeah, of course, as you said, Gallo and Clementson, Briganza as well, all catching up. So it's going to be a little bit awkward for these top 2 because they've got to let these GTEs pass, but at the same time not to lose too much battle in their battle as well. As, yeah, Van der Poel just extending that gap 4 seconds ahead on that last lap. He was the only driver in the 1 minute 59s. Everyone else above 2 minutes in that GT3 class at least. So he really is asserting his dominance.
Got a good battle here. It's between 2 drivers that know each other well. It's Ben Gregory and Dave Baker, 12th and 13th place overall. In they're racing in the GTEs. A few different manufacturers here. You've obviously got Ben Gregory in the Texans Fitstyle Motorsports car. You've then got Dave Baker in the Porsche. And you've also got Marcel Arang in the Raceline Sim Sports car, also in the Porsche. These guys were getting pretty close a lap ago. Saw a few positions getting exchanged. It looks like they've settled down just a little bit now. The gap remains about a second between the 3 of them. And behind them, you've got the recovering Josh Thompson. He's got Nathan Parkinson that is just in front of him. Just 2 or 3 tenths between those guys as we go down the back straight.
Yeah, Nathan, of course, part of Geodesic Racing. Quite a successful team in a few different leagues. I'm sure will be putting in a good campaign in the Sebring 12 hours as Baker runs very wide. Baker doesn't have a team down here, but I'm pretty sure he's CQR, of course. And they just couldn't quite mouse and tack for Gregory there.
Don't know what happened. No, sorry, carry on.
So I was just going to say, of course, Thompson getting closer and closer. I think he's going to have a move on Parkinson any corner now.
I think the chances of a win might be out of reach for Thompson just because the way that Fialo and Jamie Fluke have pulled away from the rest of them, but chance of a podium might not be totally out of reach. But first, he's got to get past the Alpine Stars desert car here going into the hairpin. A few flash of lights from there from Josh Thompson in the number 20 car. And a 4 GT here. You can hear the rasp of the Porsche there from the rear onboard camera that we had there. And of course, Thompson's car sounds completely different, but you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars separated by just about 2 seconds going through this mini complex in the middle of the lap. And these guys have not got to worry about too much traffic just yet. Looking at the track map, you can see where P1 is in the DPs. They are right in the middle of the GTD traffic now, and this is going to be really interesting to see what Michel Constantini is going to be able to do. The gap is now 9 seconds between him and Chris Robinson. It'll be interesting to see if that comes down at all, but obviously if you're experienced in the Daytona prototype field, having to get past GT traffic is something you'll be doing day in and day out, and it's really a fine art of doing, Sam. But of course, key thing for the drivers in the other classes to remember is they're supposed to stay on their line and allow the quicker cars to get past them by going offline. It's not the other way around, and sometimes that can cause a mix-up and lead to some quite interesting incidents.
Absolutely, and the more experienced drivers will definitely stay on their line, whereas the less experienced drivers may try to, like you said, try to let the faster drivers go, which is certainly not the thing to do. But it just absolutely confuses matters. But I'm sure Constantine, with a lot of experience, will be able to get his way through that field successfully. I'm sure the majority of the reason why he turned up for this event was to practice those multi-class skills and be absolutely fundamental for the 12 hours next week, as Fialo really under pressure now from Fluke. 0.2 of a second between these two. It would have been great to have Thompson involved in this one as well, but he just seems to be too far back. We've got Rolf just in the DP behind, and Spencer McCarthy a little bit further back in the third place GTE. And Fluke, I'm not quite sure if he's really going for the move here, or maybe just trying to save fuel so that he can maybe get an advantage on the during the pit stops.
I think Jamie Fluke's lasted longer in this race than he did for the Sebring one anyway. Not too many walls around here, and not too many incidents for him to get involved with thus far, but he's definitely getting a decent view at the rear of that 4 GT here. Go through the penultimate corner now onto the back straight towards Sunset Bend. You will see that Thompson is now in 7th place, so we managed to get past Marcel Orang in the end, but these two are now flying down the straight. Of course, Jamie Fluke, he only has to worry about 1 car in front of him for now, because next car back is Spencer McCarthy, and he is quite a way away. In fact, between Fluke and McCarthy, there's a DP of Rolf Just in the Munich Motor Club car, so there he is, in fact. Cheers, Sam, in the Munich Motor Club car, number 43, the last of the running DPs. Can tell you which cars have had issues during the race. Paolo Martins has been into the pit lane twice, but and I think it might be done. Dave Janssen is a couple of laps behind Reece Gold and Josh Rayfield. Off. It's Darren Maxson, the American, in the Half-Cent Racing Apex car, and as he picked up damage, hard to tell, but we're going to see on the replay. Talk us through it, sir.
Yeah, this was Largo just behind him. As Largo just outpicked himself, he's kind of stayed right in the slipstream. And yeah, well, it's always difficult in that situation when you're so close to the rear of the car, because you've got absolutely no reaction time in case they brake a little bit earlier, and maybe just a little bit of a lack of experience there from Emilio. And certainly something that for the 12 hours, you can't afford to be driving like that, because in such a long race, eventually something like that is going to happen. So leaving much bigger margins for error is certainly something to learn from. Of course, not too much that Karen could do there, but seemingly not too much damage. These drivers do get a faster pair of course, for this race. So at his first pit stop, which should be in, well, I'm not actually quite sure. I'm not sure if this is a 1-stop or a 2-stop for these drivers, but he might have to survive with this damage for quite a bit longer, but we'll be able to get fixed later on as Soranzo goes up into 4th.
He does on the inside of Largo. Largo's come into the pits at the end of the lap. There he goes, and he's even going to get passed by Maxon as his assailant there in the Half-End Racing Apex car. Over the line he goes. She goes, I might say, not too sure. Largo in, and we'll wait and see whether he can turn that into a scheduled stop or not. You can see from the timing tab that we've still got just over an hour to go here. And Largo, when he rejoins, is going to be right in the midst of some of the GTE cars. He's there somewhere, but here is another of the GTE battles. It's Spencer McCarthy versus Cedric Boland in the Simatok eSports car. Just 0.4 of a second between these two, in fact, and a good battle here between two Porsches. Porsche often noted, Sam, for not being too good in terms of picking up a slipstream, but it's not looking too shabby here with McCarthy and Boland. These two have been able to and have been able to save each other for the duration of the race so far.
Yeah, on that last lap, Boland just closing in by about 0.2 of a second, so does seem to have a small pace advantage, but like you said, the slipstream effect not too strong in any of these cars. I think the Porsche in particular, and you can see he's just struggling to really get on the tail. And this Sebring circuit, there's really not an easy overtaking spot, because you've got Sunset Bend, which is an opportunity as Alex German McGann goes off the circuit. And how did this happen? Well, he's headed off to Narnia there, as and he's made his way back onto circuit. Has he made contact? Oh dear. Well, he was probably completely blindsided. Not sure who that was, but not good for either.
Trying to work out who it might have been. It might have been Sergio Souza, so Portuguese and
Navarra.
Navarra actually, in fact, colliding with him. Cheers for that. Yeah, so problem for Alexis, the Argentine driving for FPS. I wonder if another letter could replace that P there for how he's feeling right now. But John Navarra carries on. He's got Bob Boland in front of him. Karen Maxon has come into the pits at the end of this lap. The Half-End Racing Apex car coming down the pits in the DP. See if that's a scheduled stop at all. But 23 minutes into the race, you have to wonder if it's potentially a roll of the dice as look at the GTD battle here going through the hairpin. Two cars here separated by 7/10, and there is Sergio Souza in the Spirit Sim Racing car. Has been into the pits, Tony, to pick up a new car. I think it says that Sergio's been in the pits for literally about half a second. I think that might just be a timing error actually on our part. I think he's actually not been into the pits at all, but struggling to make a few of those apexes there on this lap since we've been looking at him. He currently runs in 10th in the GTD class, and another car come into the pits. That's Tobias Ruff. He is towed back to the pits, so I wonder what happened to the Raceline Sim Sports car to cause him to do that. Sure, we're about to find out here. Here it is. German merging with another Porsche. Oh well, I was unfortunate for everybody concerned there, just because the internet looks like we had a bit of a potential netcode there. So Tobias Ruff didn't really know where the other car was and ends up going into the wall as a result. Problem for him there. Josh Thompson is up to 5th place. You can see that he's ahead of Dave Baker now. He's ahead of Ben Gregory too. So Thompson up to 5th. The Ford has cleared a bit of a milestone here because he's been able to get past that big gaggle of cars. And next up for him is Cedric Boland. There is a 6-second deficit to make up. So knowing Thompson and the speed he showed in the early part of the race, he will surely be able to close that up. We'll have to wait to see when he comes round at the end of the next lap, Sam, what kind of laps he can put in, because now he's cleared that pack, he has, looking at the track map, got nothing but clear air until the next car in front of him, which is that Simator Keysport car.
Yeah, he will be overtaken by Karen Maxon at some point because Maxon, of course, making his way back through after that instant earlier on. This is just getting past Fluke, of course, just in the faster DP class, but maybe struggling a little bit out there. I think he had an instant in the opening few stages, but hopefully he won't play too much of a part in this. Hopefully he'll get past Fialo nice and quickly and then rush off into the distance. Almost a little bit deep on the brakes there is the DP driver. Of course, these DPs possibly have the worst brakes out of these cars because I don't think they have ABS compared to the GT3s, which actually have the best brakes because they have traction control and ABS, and of course are a little bit lighter as well than these other cars. So it's kind of the other way around from what you'd expect in speed order. Just though gets through and can move on to, well, he's up into 4th position according to my screen. I think that's actually 5th position at the moment. And yeah, we'll try to chase down the drivers ahead as we've got a GT3 off the circuit.
Yeah, they were just lapping them there as we come back. Here is a replay. It's John Navarra, who has been in the thick of the action since we last checked in on him. Oh, and he's off again. Oh, this is out. He caused him to go slow, and that's as a result of hitting the blue and white Armco barrier on the exit at Tower Bend, and I'm sure that's picked up a bit of damage. And in fact, I think he's decided to ditch the driving back to the pits on foot, as it were, and has now decided to tow back instead, as this battle shows no signs of dying down. This is between Dion Fialo and Jamie Fluke, just 4/10 of a second between these guys, and then it's 8 seconds back to Cedric Boland in 3rd. Spencer McCarthy is pretty close to him as well, so that might have been an overtake too, because from memory McCarthy was in 3rd for a while, and now it's now Boland that's in 3rd. Update for you on Josh Thompson. He is a coming. He did a 57.2 on that last lap, even though he got passed by a Daytona prototype. That was nearly a second quicker than what Spencer McCarthy did, and Thompson continues at that rate. You wouldn't expect him to be too far away from these guys for much longer. He may just enter the shots. There he goes, just as we come through the long right-hander towards the hairpin. And if he continues to split lap times like he did on the previous tour, that gap's just going to continue to come down. In fact, as you can see, he is now even in the battle box for 3rd position here in class. So we have definitely got some progress to watch out for in this one as we approach the 1/3 mark of the race.
Yeah, Thompson about 15 seconds off the lead, so plus if he can keep on taking a second lap off, he will be there in touch with the race leaders by the end of the race. Of course, just a little bit of a strategy notification for everyone. The GT3s and GTEs will easily set 1 pit stop across this race. They can go about an hour on fuel. The DPs can go about 45 minutes. It's a 1 hour and 30-minute race, and so it's going to be very marginal for those drivers. They should just make it, as we've got Stefan Hebert off the circuit and Ben Gielitz as well. So instant for those two. Didn't even realise they were on the same piece of circuit actually, but yeah, this is how it happened.
Well, this could be interesting. Ferrari potentially colliding with another Ferrari here. Might be a Mercedes, not too sure. Let's see what happens. Light goes off going through the exit of the complex here. So we're going to be going down into the hairpin. This is going to take place. Watch out for it to happen. Sends it up the inside. He's given space on the inside there by Ben. The two go wheel to wheel and they meet. And off they go. And unfortunately, they don't hit anything, it doesn't look like. But that has cost them time. Sam, what do you think of that?
I didn't actually see it,
okay.
Unfortunately. But Ben has unfortunately retired from the races. Broich goes round the outside of Broich and Gallinier. So yeah, so nice move there from Gallinier then. Around the outside at turn 1, not easy to do. He made it stick. And yeah, not quite sure what position that is, but now can move on to Hertzie Carolina, 3.5 seconds up the road.
Plenty of intriguing battles to take place then over the next 2/3 of the race. Then you can see, well, we've brought to you loads of different 2 and 3 car scraps throughout all 3 classes that we've got going on here. And as you can see now from the track map, as we've completed half an hour the track is pretty much covered in cars. Here's Dion Fialo. Him and Jamie Fluke is one of the key battles that we've got on circuit at the moment, and probably a battle that we'll see in the real life Daytona, real life Sebring 12 Hours next week. Ford versus Ferrari battle, and two of the big teams in the world of iRacing here, and Thrustmaster Movano Racing and Apex Racing UK. We're not blowing our drum here, just saying that. Jamie Fluke, just over 7k iRacing, which is 600 more than what Dion Fialo has, but in terms of the distance between them on the circuit, it's just 0.2 of a second as they run out wide on the exit of Sunset, and Jamie Fluke continues to pick up the slipstream from the Ford and keeps a watching brief on his fellow GTE driver as they go through the first corner, running very wide, a little bit wide on the exit, picking up a bit of dirt on the exit through the curb. It's one of those corners where you really got to be committed, because it's probably one of the most crucial parts on the circuit in terms of making and losing time, Samus. Even the final corner as well.
Yeah, definitely big commitment corners where you really got to carry the speed through, despite the bumps being very difficult. Also racing in the radical around this circuit. Unfortunately, that was a fixed setup, so of course the bumps are quite difficult in that. But I'm sure these drivers have been able to, like I said earlier on, kind of adjust the springs to deal with those bumps a little bit better. And so far we haven't seen either of these two drivers certainly make a mistake around those corners. And of course in the 12 hours we are going to have an incident limit. I'm not sure what that incident limit is. They don't have an incident limit for this race though, so I won't have to worry about that too much as we go back to this battle. Baker has been overtaken by Parkinson, so Parkinson making his way through the order. We've also got Largo now lapping these drivers. No, that's poor position actually, because Largo of course made contact with Maxson earlier on. He's a little bit further up the road, so playing a little bit of a part right now is Emilio. And yeah, so it's Gregory ahead of Parkinson. These two are racing against each other in the DJ Effect series as well. And then of course Orang are still very much onto the back of this little train of cars.
Tell you what, this pack has seen it all today. They had Josh Thompson working his way through the field and getting past them. Now they've got to deal with a Daytona prototype fighting his way through the field. Of course, Emilio having to pick up a fast repair after the damage sustained. Actually, no, yeah, fast repair after the damage sustained earlier. You can tell that just because his pit stop time was just under a second. His pit lane time was 23, so it was a quick visit through the pits. But now the Italian's got to deal with cars that are not in his class, and he's going to be able to get by one of them here. That's Ben Gregory. He's going to get by going into the first corner. He does that with not too much difficulty at all. Tell you what, though, that Ferrari does put power down on the exit. Now this could be interesting all of a sudden. Surely Largo has got it done now. If anything, Sam, it's definitely looking like the GT Freezer. Oh, and he's got a tank slapper on there, and now he's got to get past two more cars. Well, I said it looked like it was going to be pretty straightforward, but as you mentioned earlier, that Daytona prototype looks like it finds it more difficult to put the power down than these GT3s do.
Yeah, I think so. And around those slow speed corners, there's really no advantage for the DP because there's no kind of aerodynamic advantage through the slow speed corners, and over the bumps these GT cars can actually deal better with them. But it's down these straights where Emilio can close in a bit. He's got to be really careful on the brakes so he doesn't make contact once again like he did earlier on, and it didn't help Gregory too much. He was getting a little bit impatient because he could sense Parkinson getting closer and closer to him as Nathan is looking for the move into every single one of these corners. Now we've got a DP in the middle of the circuit. I think that's Maxson. It must be. Yes, it is. So Maxson loses out once again to Largo. And Largo is going to try to make the move on Parkinson going into the Le Mans section. But no, having to stay behind. He'll hopefully get both of these guys down into Sunset.
Yeah, I'm sure, even though it's proven to be pretty entertaining for us, the GTEs don't want to be having to deal with a feisty Daytona prototype here. Here goes Largo, looking into the final corner. Should get it done this time. Said that last time, and it still didn't work out. Look how much the Porsche closes in there. Parkinson going for the final corner. He's really hoping that he'll be able to catch the Ferrari napping here as we come over the line. The Ferrari Gregory is able to pick up a slipstream though. You can see a few cars coming into the pits. That's Maxim back in the pits, and that is a tow as well. So the Half-Cent Racing Apex cars had some sort of an off somewhere and has had to tow back to the pits as a result. But this grab between two different classes continues. Remarkable, really. We didn't expect to see this during the race. Gregory, the 6th place man in this class, going to deal with a Daytona prototype, but it looks like finally Emilio has got the better of them and is able to use the straight line speed to pull away, but that doesn't mean this battle's over. Gregory versus Parkinson into the hairpin. Ferrari is able to stay ahead for now. Dion Fialo is off the circuit, and as he collided with a Daytona prototype, there was one heavily in the wall, and that was Rolf Just, the Munich Motor Club car. Jamie Fluke is now into the lead for Apex Racing UK, and this is going to be what happened. Dion Fialo, Thrustmaster Movano Racing driver. Oh, he's not going to get caught up in someone else's incident, is he? He is. Now that was Rolf Just. He was trying to get past, I believe, was a GTD, but it's resulted in absolute chaos. It was an Audi, wasn't it? It was the Falcon Audi. Clips that curb, and then flies straight into the side of the Audi, and nothing that Dion Fialo could do. He missed it to the right, and he got there and got slammed into the side by a errant Daytona prototype, and this has resulted Fialo returning to the pits. Coming to the pits now. We will pick up a fast repair, and I wonder if this could now coincide with his one and only stop. Will he be able to get home from here, Sam?
Yes, he will be able to. He usually can go about 1 hour, can these GTEs, and he's only got 53 minutes to go, so it was just in time. But the problem for him now is I don't think he's going to change tyres. I think that's going to be a waste of time for him, because these GT3 cars have to take the tyres and fuel separately. So he's now going to be on much more fuel for the next kind of half an hour or so until his rivals come into the pits. So not too good whatsoever for him, and it's going to be a long road back for him. I think he came into the pits ahead of Josh Thompson. It gives Thompson an opportunity to jump him. Haven't given too much love out there to the the GT3 leader, Jan van der Poel. Currently leading the way, and quite comfortably as well. He's quite far ahead of Jamie Wilson currently, and he's in 2nd place. We've got a lot of GTEs mixing around these GT3s, the front of these GT3s. Then it's Kobe Clays is in 3rd position in that class. Then it's Roger Rios and Mike Sargent, Bob Boland, and Vince Tajala Gomez as well in that GT3 class.
Yeah, good battle here for second, actually, as we look at it now. Ferrari versus Merc. Of course, this is the GT3 spec Ferrari, that's why it's in this class. And it's going to be pretty close here, but Wilson able to hold on. In fact, no, that isn't close, is it? That's Lee Woodburn. There you go, that shows what I was looking at, but thanks Sam for pointing that out. But yeah, the difference between Wilson and Clace is, looking at the timing screens, quite a way. So Jamie Wilson in quite a way ahead of everybody else. You can see from the track map that the next GTD isn't for a while yet, so that is why you can see it's just coming out of the hairpin now. That is where Kobe Clace is. Coming into the hairpin, the Dynamics Mercedes Car 100, the Belgian. That is the difference between him and Wilson. Wilson is almost on his way into Tower Bend, so it is quite a way away. But with not as many GTDs as GTDs as GTEs, you can expect a bit of a bigger field spread due to the smaller number of cars as we await the pit stops to take place, as we're nearly at the halfway point, as Kobe Clace has now got to deal with a Daytona prototype breathing down the rear of his car. That is Rolf Just, who must have been into the pits. He towed back to the pits after his crash just before Tower Bend, and now he's having to get past some of the slower traffic. Hopefully he can do it a bit easier this time than what he did the last time he was having to get the the GT3 cars as he goes into the penultimate corner. I wonder if he's just thinking twice before he decides to send it up the inside.
Yeah, probably wise there from Rolf. Hopefully we'll learn from that mistake. Wasn't really too much of a mistake. It's just so difficult around that part of the circuit, the middle part of the circuit, to pull off the overtakes. Because, of course, those high curves, as you said, can really unsettle the car. And in the end, he just understeered into his rival. In the end, it helps Jamie Fluke. He's now in the lead, and a comfortable lead as well. Really, the only rival to him, I think, is going to be Josh Thompson to the end of this race. And he's still down in 4th position behind Bolan and McCarthy. Bolan and McCarthy still having an absolutely awesome batsman. Thompson a little bit by himself in terms of the GTEs. Emilio Largo has just got past him.
Well, yeah, we were expecting Thompson to close the gap on McCarthy, weren't we? Really, it's remained at 5 seconds, yeah, Thompson hasn't been really able to close that gap down at all. Of course, we've still got half the race to go and a potential pit stop window to change that, but yeah, Thompson currently having a bit of a lonely race in terms of battling with other members of his class as he continues to go around. These lot definitely are not having a quiet run of things. This is Bolan versus McCarthy, just 3 tenths of a second between these two, and if they do start scrapping, they could find themselves getting attacked by Thompson as off goes Parkinson then.
Yeah, from I think 5th position in the, 6th position in this class. He was right on the tail of Ben Gregory at the time. And I think this is a self-spin, actually. Oh, Gregory's gone off the circuit, and he's almost forced Parkinson off there.
Well, he was very fortunate to hit the tyre barrier as opposed to the arm coat. The arm coat has all sorts of damage to the car, and damage you can't really correct, so no matter how long you spend in the pits. But hitting the tyre barrier, that probably won't have done too much damage, as you can see there. That is Ben Gregory Ben Gregory's been lapped by our overall leader, Michel Constantini. But this is a good battle for 5th, 6th and 7th. We've got Ben Gregory, Dave Baker and Marcel Orang driving for 3 different teams. Thrustmaster, driving for TechSense, Baker driving for CQR, and Marcel Orang driving for Raceline Sim Sports. And all driving in, what I believe, different cars. Didn't just quickly see what Orang was driving in there as we go down the back straight, but there you go, manufacturers on the screen. It's Gregory in the Ferrari, then it's Baker and Orang in the Porsches. See that Porsche is been well represented in this field today. Is it now the new all-round car for these drivers to pick, Sam? Judging from the amount of popularity that they've got, I know it's a new car and everything, but it looks like it's the most popular as Parkinson comes into the pits in the Alpine Steer Desert car.
Yeah, I think so marginally, but of course, as we've talked about in the World GT Championship, good to see them all competitive. You know, you've got Thompson out there in the Ford doing very well, and I know the Ferrari is also very competitive. Gregory showing that, so they're just very evenly matched. Got their small strengths and weaknesses, but it's not like the GT3s used to be, where the McLaren 12C, and I don't know if it's still the case potentially with the McLaren, where it's unbelievably quick down the straights and horrendous in the corners, and the BMW, of course, the complete other way around. But it's good to see you can pretty much choose any manufacturer, and you're certainly going to have a good chance with your pace. Orang versus Gallinier, of course, Gallinier versus Korolainen, as Gallinier just made that move. I think he did. So moving up, and he's only got 5.5 seconds to catch up to Orang. Gallinier, I think, with an issue earlier on. A nice battle with Thompson, where he defended for a few corners. He's failing to drop Korolainen at the moment. Of course, it's only Deutsch and Bibby not too far behind either. Bibby actually setting some very quick times up there. So it could be in this battle by the end of the race, as Jan van der Poel having to make his way up through the traffic.
Van der Poel, the Belgian, opposed to the cyclist who is Dutch. There you go. As Lee Thiemer.
They're very close to one another, I feel. It's possible they could be brothers.
I think it's been confirmed by the man himself, straight from the horse's mouth, by Van der Poel on the YouTube chat, that they're not related. I can tell you that. But, there's one letter that separates them anyway. Van der Poel racing here, it's DE. Van der Poel, the cyclist, has got an extra R in there, so Van der Poel. As off goes Ronald Moons, the Belgian. That is where one of that Corvette famously managed to break out of the circuit. The Belgian here driving for Sim Ortel, a team that Thieme knows well from the various series he's competed in, and is having to get going again. Looks like pit stops are the order of the day, though, especially in the Daytona prototype, because in pits comes second place man Julien Rivelot in the Simatok eSport car. He's joined in the pits by David Saranso, teammate, and also in the pits is Lewis Bibby in the PC UK car, and Tobias Burker in the Raceline Sim Sports car. So quite a few cars now realising that we have completed the halfway point of the race, and have figured that now is a good time. Can't hardly blame them to come down the pits, as here is Lewis Bibby out of the pit lane now. He's just coming to the green cones, which is where you can put your foot on the gas and get going again. He's going to have a few cars for company here, in fact, because watch out for some of the Porsches, but it looks like PC UK Englishman is going to be ahead just before they arrive on the scene, and indeed he is. He emerges in 14th place in class.
Yeah, not sure if Thieme has already made his pit stop, but he was quite close behind. And here comes McCarthy and Boland. So McCarthy has got past Boland there. So these two, will either of them come into the pits this time round? No, they're going to stay out because the DPs, this is as far as they can go on fuel. So they have to pretty much pit at this point in the race. Looks as though it will be quite a simple one stop for them. But for these GTEs, they can go for about an hour, but maybe feeling as though it's better just to split it half and half. Maybe starting with a little bit less fuel than a full tank, and that could prove important for them. Of course, like I said earlier on, probably not taking tyres despite the temperatures rising up to 39 degrees Celsius now. It's 1 o'clock in the afternoon, so it should start to get a cool up by the end of the race, but for now it's maybe even go above 40 degrees, the track. Unfortunately, of course, as I said earlier on, it's not going to end in the evening, this race, due to the iRacing timings, but it will still accurately reflect some of the difficulties that these drivers are going to face in the 12 hours. Of course, the track temperature is so important for these drivers to deal with, because you've got to have a car which can deal with all kinds of conditions, from 40 degrees temperatures to sub 20 degree.
Tion Fialo then. He has been into the pits, of course, after that damage that he sustained earlier. May have been in again, not too sure, but either way, he has got John Roberts. He has got Michael Dreschler around him. Ben Gregory has also been in. He was ahead of Dave Baker before he visited the pits high up. And look at this. This is Dave Baker. He may have lost Ben Gregory in this battle, but now he's having to get past Marcel Orang, and they're also having to get past. That is Mike Sargent, I believe, in the half-stem blue car. Oh, Baker goes wide, and Sargent unlaps himself. Half-stem blue car didn't have to send it up the inside there. He was gifted the track position there. Of course, Sargent is no threat to these guys. First of all, he's racing in the GT3 category, and also he's a lap behind. But that is an inconvenience for Baker. He may now fancy the opportunity to come into the pit lane. Doesn't, he's able to carry on, but he is going to go wheel to wheel with a GT3 car down the front straight. Good opportunity to see the pace between the two classes, and from what we can see here, the Merc still packs a punch against the GTE Porsche, but Thompson has the line around the first corner, and he should theoretically be clear, and he is. And now he's going to have to try and close the gap back down again to Marcel Orang in the Raceline Sim Sports car, who too has not been into the pits yet. The race order in this class, as you can see, these cars at the front, all of them have not been in. It's Fluke, then it's Boland, then it's McCarthy, Josh Thompson, and then Orang, then Baker, then Galenia, then Marcus Broich, and then Michael Dreschler in the Euro Racing Esports car. And to round out the rest of them, we've got Fialo and then John Roberts in 11th place too. So that is how things are in the GTE class. And Jamie Fluke is now coming up to lap the Sim Orsal car of Ronald Moons, who we saw off at the hairpin earlier on. And helpful there from Sam Cooper, the man on the cameras and on the graphics today, showing which cars have made the trip down the pit lane and which cars have yet to do so.
Yeah, and just back to your point with the speeds of the GT3s, at the end of the straights, the GT3s are actually a little bit faster than the GTEs, and even more kind of difficult for these guys is that the GTCs, which we sometimes see, the Porsche 911 Cup car, is even faster. So it's completely the other way round in terms of absolute top speed amongst the GT3s, GTEs and GTCs. And yeah, quite a difficulty in terms of lapping traffic. But of course the DP absolutely has more speed around pretty much everything than these cars, so it's not too difficult for them guys, apart from maybe the slow speed corners they can struggle with a little bit. As Pedro Braganza trying to catch up to Lee Woodburn. These drivers are going to have to be pitting in the next 10 minutes or so for their one and only pit stop, as Woodburn goes really wide off the circuit, and that's how he has lost that position. And well, very frustrating from his part there, behind Burke as well.
Well, he would have wanted, but this is interesting. This is Nathan Parkinson trying to get back past Jan van der Poel. Now surely the GTE car will not want to ruin the GTD leader's race, but he's swarming all over the back of that Mercedes, even taking an insanely wide line going through an ultimate corner out of the Le Mans complex to get by. Here is the straight line speed comparison again. Parkinson trying to pull alongside the Merc. Then he gets it on the inside going into the final corner. Don't know whether that was just discretion being the better part of Valor, or it was because Parkinson misjudged the braking point by quite a bit. But either way, he's able to get the position and is now up to 22nd place overall. But into the pits also has gone Clements, I believe. Yeah, Dave Clements in the Redback race team. So it looks like we've had our first flurry of cars come into the pits. I'm sure in the next couple of laps we'll see the leaders of the GTEs come in. In terms of the Daytona prototypes, everybody has been in now. The order is so. It's Michel Constantini with a 20-second advantage over Chris Robinson. He's running away with this one here, isn't he? Julien Rivalou in third, 23 seconds behind Robinson. And then the closest battle is between Rivalou and Saranso, and even then there's only 9 seconds. There's 9 seconds between them, so things are very much spread out in the Daytona prototypes, and I'll have to wait and see how that's going to be replicated in the real life 12 hours, as Constantini has a little bit of a moment that will keep him on the edge of his seat going through the final corner. One thing to bear in mind, Sam, as well, is when this race happens in real life, as Galenia comes into the pits, we've got, I believe, the I can't remember which way around it is. I think it the World Endurance Championship have their races. Oh, is this spin for Galenia? Hold on, the Frenchman trying his best to make sure the car doesn't fully spin. Misses the concrete wall on the inside there as well. Gets it into reverse, and he's going to get going again. But the Simotok Esport car has lost a bit of time into the pits. He goes as a result to make sure he can get the pit stop out of the way. But yeah, we've got the World Endurance Championship coming here as well for their 1,000 kilometre race, I think. That's going to be on the day before, and then you've got the 12 hours afterwards. So we've got two different championships going to be racing around this one, with the Daytona prototypes in the 12 hours and the full-on Le Mans prototypes in the World Endurance Championship race.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the dates. Apparently, the World Endurance Championship is actually on the 15th of March, which is a Friday, and then the day after will be the 12 hours of Sebring. So I think a few of these teams actually running cars in both championships. So it's a real difficulty for them. But what a weekend of racing that is. I do know that Tyler Bickery, one of our co-commentators, was keen to attend that weekend, and what a fantastic event. And of course the Daytona 24 hours as well. Florida is certainly the place to be for American motorsport. And of course they also have the season finale in NASCAR, which always decides the championship. Of course, due to the showdown which of course I know has a very mixed feelings amongst fans, to say the least. But yeah, certainly all the Florida, certainly everyone from Florida having a feast. But yeah, absolutely fantastic to see those two races on the same weekend, and yeah, certainly looking forward to that one. Great to see Sebring, of course, back onto the World Endurance calendar. It took a break for about 6 or 7 years, I believe, and now they're starting to mix it up a little bit, going to a few more kind of obscure circuits, mixing up the mixing up the kind of the length of the races. I know that Silverstone next year is only going to be a 4-hour race compared to some 12-hour races that they're going to have, and certainly the World Endurance Championship growing in popularity every year.
Yeah, I remember Sebring being on the calendar. I think when the World Endurance Championship was just about founded. Spin here for Emilio Largo, tail of his race really. He has been right in the thick of the action. Has he hit anything? Not too sure, but either way, he's going to get passed by a few of the GTE cars along the way. Here is how it happens. This is quite a way back on the lap, so he might have had 2 incidents on this lap here, not too sure. But either way, we're going to see how it unfolded together. The Italian in the 593 car working his way around the second half of the lap, going towards Tower Bend. You can see Jamie Fluke just in front of him there. Also, Spencer McCarthy has just come into the pits in the GTD class. I think we're going to skip a bit further along to find out what's going to happen. Here it is. This is where we see him rejoin. Oh, he spins before he goes into the corner. Might even have just put a wheel on the grass there. He tried everything he could to save it, but on this occasion to no avail, and he's come into the pits at the end of this lap for a second visit. Don't know whether the tyres are cooked or not, but yeah, in he comes, and so too Spencer McCarthy. Marcus Broich in as well. Here is Marcel Orang though. He's got David Baker for company again, and these two are now up to 4th and 5th in class, because these two are yet to stop as well. And I wonder if this battle might be one of those that goes to the pit lane, and it'll all be about which driver puts in the minimalist amount of fuel to get them out ahead. We'll have to wait and see. And there's not going to be much fuel that's going to be added to these cars now, because as you can see, we're actually approaching the hour mark as Orang and Baker get lapped by our overall race leader, Michele Constantini.
Yeah, of course, these guys were battling with Gregory earlier on. It'll be interesting to see where they come out in comparison to him. I kind of feel as though these guys have got the ideal strategy, putting the car right with as much fuel as possible right at the start of the race, going as far as you possibly can. Of course, Gregory's mentality was put it up halfway, but that means that Gregory's got to have a slightly longer pit stop. And it also means that these drivers, of course, at this point in the race, have got a little bit less fuel on board, as we see. I think that's Thompson down to the back of Bolan. So really strong here for Thompson, and he might be able to get this move done on the Simitok Esports driver. So head down into Sunset Bend. A little bit of a late move there from Bolan, really blocking off Thompson's attempted overtake. Thompson goes for the cutback down the inside, really careful of the wall on the inside there, as Bolan's way too wide, and now they both go into the pits anyway. Why they felt the need to almost crash into each other a couple of times there, I do not know, because it's just going to be a race of the pit crews regardless.
One driver that we'll see is out is Spencer McCarthy. Don't know what's happened to him. I don't know if there's an incident limit or not, but it looks like it's a disconnect for him. He is done. Yeah, and he's dropping down the order. But here is the battle then in the pits. It's between Thompson and Bolan. What this does mean is that Dave Baker is up to second. Orang has come into the pit lane too. Somehow behind them, not too sure, because Baker and Orang were surely ahead at that point. But either way, Thompson and Bolan get away at pretty much exactly the same time, but it is the Ford GT that is ahead of the Porsche. And what's Bolan going to be able to do to try and get past Thompson? That's going to be something we're going to have to wait and see. Both of them have got the necessary fuel to get to the end of the race. Oh, there's a spinning car in front. That's a Daytona prototype, is that?
I think that's Ribble, is it?
Again, was it Chris Robinson?
Oh, no, Robinson. I was going to get there eventually, I feel.
Oh yeah, it was a process elimination. Wasn't it really? Yeah.
Sorry. I thought it was a Simitok Esports livery in my defence, but no.
The red. In this occasion, it was the Redback Racing team car, and yeah, he lost on the just before we got to turn 2. Doesn't look like he's picked up any damage, but fortunately the gap is big enough for the Aussie that he has lost no places as a result. What it's only meant is that Constantini's now got his lead up to 37 seconds. Ribolo has closed the gap down to 10 as Jamie Fluke pits from the lead of the GTEs. And of course the car he was battling with before the pit stops was Dion Fialo. Obviously he had his crash and then had to come back to the pits. He is almost certainly not going to be able to overtake Jamie Fluke on the circuit. So it's almost going to be down to the likes of Josh Thompson and Cedric Boland to close the gap. But they too, quite a way behind Fluke before Ferrari came into the pits. So I believe this should be a pretty straightforward pit and get back out on the circuit job for Jamie Fluke. And he will not have to worry about anybody. And you can see there from the timing tower, he is already done in the pit box. He's coming down the pit lane now. Dave Baker is going to get past him just because Baker hasn't been into the pits yet. That'll be a minor worry for Fluke, I'm sure. Having raced with Dave Baker in the BSRTC, if they do start getting involved in a battle, he will know that Dave Baker is one of the cleanest drivers. He managed to win his one and only BSRTC title in the back end of 2014 by only winning one race along the way. The rest of that was just pure consistency, hence why he became so esteemed with the number 6. He was able to finish in that 6th place, and it was the points that he got for that helped get him that title, and he's kept the number in the BSRTC ever since pretty much. But yeah, that is a tale for you. He now leads the GTE class with just under half an hour to go. He's got Jamie Fluke, who's already stopped. Right behind him here is Porsche leads Ferrari. What's your number in the Winter Series, by the way, Sam? Is that just randomly assigned to you?
I was randomly assigned a Porsche. It was only going up to 50. 32 was taken. And of course, I can't have 71. I might be able to go one better than Dave Baker at the moment because I am leading the BSRTC Winter Series and I haven't won a race yet. I've only got a handful of podiums. But I don't want to call it too early because honestly, it would be humiliating if I said I was going to win and I didn't win. But I'm currently leading the championship without winning a race. So I plan not to win a race if I can desperately hold it because it would be a nice anecdote for the future. Well, it'll be very good. But yeah, Baker, yeah, it's all about in that BSRTC Winter Series and Pro Series and all the BSR leagues we up that consistency. But of course, in this race, just a one-off. Whoever wins this is absolutely the champion of the Sebring 90 minutes. As you see a move almost there from Fiallo, trying to get past Boland. That's how well Fiallo has actually done, to be fair. Of course, he had that off early on, had to take the fast repair, and yet he's still running in a decent position. In 4th position, only a couple of seconds off 2nd position. We look to the inside going into turn 1. Almost had a chance there. Thompson running really wide, almost offline there, potentially losing himself a lot of time. Here comes Boland, potentially down the inside into turn 2, but the corner's just so narrow there. You've got to be really fully alongside if you're going to go for the overtake.
Dave Baker been into the pits, back out again. This time he's in 5th. But this is the battle for 2nd place in class between 3 very quick drivers. Of course, Thompson and Fiallo were battling with each other earlier on in the race. They've been joined by Boland now, who was fighting with McCarthy, who is now done for the day. He is not back out on the circuit, so that is him gone. This is the fight for the runners-up spot and a spot on the podium as well. And all of these guys have pitted. In fact, everybody is pitted now. Dave Baker was one of the last to do so. You would have seen at the bottom of the screen that a lot of them come in. There's Boland. Closes right onto the back of the Ford of Thompson there. Closed right up. We almost saw a replica of the incident we saw down at the hairpin between 2 of the Daytona prototypes as we go into Tower. We're on lap 34 of the race overall. These GTEs are on their 33rd lap, says. We go through the right-hander. Fiallo using all of the grip in the Ford GT, and it looks like that since he's got that new car, obviously the damage has been taken away from that crash earlier on. And he's as quick as ever as we go down the back straight. But the Porsche, you can see it's moving about. That must mean that he's surely close to Thompson, but no. Thompson is a little bit up the road. Maybe he's just having to put a bit of defence on from the other Thrustmaster Movano racing car as we go into sunset.
Yeah, Boland's in a really difficult position right now, because I imagine Thompson will try to help out his teammate a little bit as we see Robinson. That's not a cinematography, that is Robinson going down the inside. Ooh, almost into the back of the DP there, FIA. But just about lifted off enough. And of course, see this part of the circuit, very much single file, even for the much faster prototype car. And this is kind of where you can use the traffic to your advantage, but you can see Dion just falling a little bit too far back, and you know what? It's going to be Boland who really benefits from this, because it's Thompson going to be compromised. Maybe Boland will be able to go down the inside, really just got to nip his car down the inside here, but Thompson stays all the way around the outside. Now there's contact between the two of them. Thompson off, almost into the wall. He's got a lot of damage on that car now, and well, I think that was Robinson just losing the car under traction coming out of that hairpin.
Oh, what a disaster there. Thompson and Fialo. Not what they would have wanted. Look at this, though. This is battle for second and third in the Daytona prototypes all of a sudden. Robinson was in second place. It looks like he's got damage, and he's going to have to either pull to the side of the road, or he's going to have to try and get going again. The Aussie, who had such a comfortable advantage in that second place, he was almost 20 seconds ahead of third place man, well, what is now second place, Ribalou. But as we ride on board with him, is the car crabbing at all or anything? It potentially might be, but either way, his chances of getting that second place look all but dashed. There's now Saranso right on the back of the Daytona prototype now, the Corvette Daytona prototype, and Robinson's chances of even a podium here might be about to vanish here as we come out of the penultimate corner. Robinson moves over, and it's going to be Saranso going through into third position. You would expect he's going to appear on the left-hand side any moment now. There he is. Robinson, in the space of a lap, goes from second in class down to fourth as Josh Thompson comes into the pits again.
Yep, so he'll take that faster pair as long as he didn't take it earlier on. Robinson also into the pit, so he'll take that faster pair. Unless he's used it already, I don't think he has. But also, you can accidentally tick it and kind of waste it a little bit. Or you can pick up a little bit of damage and think, well, I'll take it at this pit stop. And of course, then when you have a big incident later on, it leaves you a little bit stranded. But hopefully those drivers will be able to get back out there. Of course, we have, once again, I said this earlier on, we haven't given enough attention to Jan van der Poel. But unfortunately, he's just been a bit too dominant. If he slowed down a bit, maybe he'd get a little bit more camera time, but certainly he deserves this. Dominating in this GTE field for Tuk Tuk Patrol. Jamie Wilson for Team Chimera still in second position. Of course, a driver who often turns up for the Apex Racing League's Renault 3.5 Championship on a Sunday. That'll be tomorrow. It'll be me and Alex Simpson covering that one. And then behind that is Bod Boland. So Kobe Clay's in third position in the GT3 class, and Bod Boland's done well actually to get himself up into fourth position after a bit of an incident earlier on. I believe as Marcus Boysch off the circuit. He was doing pretty well, was Marcus. He was running in 8th position in the GTEs, but that's the potentially the end of his day unless he well, no, he's now disconnected from the race.
Well, things were a bit weird before that, and he's just going to pull off to the side of the road and call it a day here after an hour and 9 minutes. Shame for him there. Back to the battle for second in class. Thompson is the one that's suffered out of all of that. He's back out on the circuit, but in looking three.
No,
where is he?
Thompson has disconnected, unfortunately.
Oh, he's done. Well, obviously, yeah, because he had to essentially pick up repair or something. But yeah, here is Boland and Fialo. We were on one Thrustmaster Movano racing car down, but we still have one more, and this is over the fight for the runners-up spots in the GTE class. Just a few tenths of a second between them, and on the last tour of the circuit it was a 58.2 for Boland, a 58.21 for Fialo, just 100th of a second between them, and these two are in different cars, of course. The Porsche of Fialo and the Porsche of Boland, and the Ford of Dion Fialo. And this is going to be a fantastic duel to see for the next 20 minutes, of course. These guys don't have to come into the pits again, so they can go all out. There was a few bits of worry at Bathurst when we did our special race there earlier in January that some of the cars could run out of fuel. Some of them actually did, just because of some dodgy numbers. But all of these guys here driving for professional teams. Of course, Fialo's got a World Championship license, driving for a well-esteemed team of Master Vivano Racing, to make sure that he has got the right number, the right fuel number in there to get to the end, and he can solely focus on trying to get past this Porsche here as we go for the penultimate corner. The Belgian of Boland trying to keep Fialo at bay, see if the Ford can close in at all. Are we still there? Oh, okay.
Ah, cool. Sorry about that small Discord issue. Down for what, 10 seconds, I think.
No of an issue, but yeah, as you can see in that time, the Daytona prototype of Rivolo has gone by, and it hasn't really hindered these two at all. As Sam, they continue their scrap. As Fialo looking to the inside, going into the hairpin here. This is where things got messy. Oh, you can see the Porsche really struggling for traction actually as it applies the power down. And now Fialo is going to try and stay with him, going through this part of the lap through the left-hand kink. They've got a GTD car to get by. That doesn't hinder them at all. Is Fialo going to go for the lunge here into the right-hander? No, he doesn't. Mercedes sensibly doesn't get involved in any of this scrap either. So as you can see from the lap times, it's about 1 minute 51, 1 minute 52, sorry, 1 minute 58, say, in this class to do a lap around here. We've got just over 15 minutes to go. The laps are starting to ever so slowly run out. We're entering the closing stages of the race here, and Fialo will obviously start to worry about whether we'll be able to get by Boland for second place, who has really put in a stellar effort today, of course, because he was fighting for fourth at one point, and didn't look anywhere near catching the likes of Dion Fialo. And then obviously Fialo Sam's had his own issues, and now he is the one having to do the chasing with a couple of laps to go now.
Yeah, because Fialo, with that incident earlier on, which wasn't his fault, took him from the race lead, obviously. He knows where he would be right now if it weren't for that. Certainly at least a solid second, if not fighting for the win, but instead he's fighting for the second position. Of course, Fluke found it difficult to overtake him earlier on, and now Fialo is finding the brunt of that. And just not a way past around the majority of these corners. He doesn't want to put at risk this result. He's got 20 seconds back to David Baker, of course. Also, Ben Gregory, well, I'm not quite sure what happened to Gregory out there, but I think he's dropped quite far down the order. Yeah, he's quite far off. He was battling with Baker earlier on. I don't know if that maybe early pit stop hasn't quite worked out for him. But yeah, he's quite a long way behind. So we can see side by side now between Fialo and Boland. And Dion actually is going to lose out this position, I think. Boland down the inside for the next corner. He can muscle his way around the outside there into this next one, and that is what Fialo is going to try to do. He's almost lost the rear end, and it hasn't got a fantastic exit. Now the inside for the next corner once again will return to Boland, and he should be able to hang on to it from here. Does he take a little bit of curb on the inside? Yes, he does, and he just about nips ahead. Fantastic side by side through those 3 or 4 corners.
Watch out, guys, because here comes Chris Robinson. Sorry, no, David Saranzo, I should say. He's split the two of them. That part of the circuit where they were going wheel to wheel was where Fialo crashed off after colliding one of the Daytona prototypes early on in the race. It set him back as a result. Fialo running onto the grass there on the exit of the Le Mans complex. Here comes Boland now. He's going to get passed by Saranzo too. Chris Robinson is the next car down, is the next Daytona prototype down the line. But as you can see from the track map going into final corner, that Daytona prototype is quite a way away. Here is Ben Gregory versus Michael Dreschler. This is a two-car scrap. This is Ferrari versus Ford going on here, and that's going to be Gregory that gets the move done. And that puts the TechSense Bitstyle Motorsport car up into 7th place in class, with Michael Dreschler down to 8th as a result. And good race by Michael nonetheless. He gained 10 positions since the start in the Huber Racing esports car. But, this battle is by no means over, because Ben Gregory is still, as you can see, only a few tenths of a second away, and if Dreschler can stay with him, he could fancy his chances of repaying the favour here, as we've now got just under 14 minutes to go as they come across the line now. Gregory followed by Dreschler, and then 9 seconds away, Nathan Parkinson in the Alpine Stars geodesic white car.
Yeah, of course, Parkinson well out of position as well. So really, Parkinson and Gregory should be much further up the order. Gregory might be able to catch up to Carolina by the end of this race, about 4 seconds between the two of them. As once again we check in on our GTE race leader, Jan van der Poel, and he is now 21 seconds ahead of Jamie Wilson. Of course, Wilson, a very accomplished driver himself in Team Chimera, one of the maybe not the absolute top teams in iRacing, but certainly I'd say probably in the top 20 iRacing teams. And right now, Van der Poel is absolutely dominating still, with Clays and Boland in 3rd and 4th. And of course, Michele Constantini leading the way in DPs. He's now a minute clear of Julien Ribeiro. Of course, he had a little bit of a fight against Chris Robinson earlier on. Robinson was staying within about 20 seconds, but I think it's now over a lap down after an incident for him earlier on. Soranze in 3rd position, looking like he's going to make it 2 Sumatok esports drivers on the podium today.
Summary of that class there as we look back at Jamie Fluke. Not long to go here. He was early on the race. It looked like it was going to be a titanic duel for the GTE win. So then Josh Thompson fell by the wayside. So too is Thompson's teammate Dion Fialo. And now Fialo is now having to still contest this 2nd position with Cedric Boland. Sumatok Esport 277 doing a fantastic job of keeping the Thrustmaster Movano racing car at bay going into the hairpin. The track conditions and the ambient conditions up for you, so you can see how they've changed since the start of the race. Track temperature was 24 degrees when we got going here. Now it's 36 with not long to go here. The day starts to slowly come to an end. 4 degrees ambient temperature as well. So with the temperatures getting a little bit hotter, this might put a bit more heat through the tyres and maybe cause a few cars to slowly start to lose the grip in them by the end of the race. Because as we were saying, due to the rules in this championship, you can't fuel the car and change tyres at the same time. So obviously you don't want to be in the pits too long, so you're only going to put the fuel in, and that could lead to tyres losing their life towards the end of this one. As here comes Boland and Fialo again, and Sunset Bend be the opportunity. Let's see, going for the right hand of the Ford, trying everything in its power to get a decent run on the Porsche. See what the straight line speed is like between the two of them as we build up through the gears. Is the Ford going to look to the inside? He is. Can he get alongside? Yes, he can. Has he got alongside? Yes, he has. Is he going to squeeze through? Yes, he does. He squeezes past Boland for 2nd position. It took a while, Sam, but it looks like that he's been able to get by, and Fialo is up to 2nd place in class with just over 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, and Boland not putting up too much of a fight there. I thought he'd be a little bit more feisty. He defended hard against Thompson, but maybe just being satisfied with that 3rd position. Wouldn't be surprised if he can now keep up with his role, but I doubt he's going to be able to respond with an overtaking move. Boland trying to catch up to Clays. Boland had an issue earlier on, but on that last lap was 1.5 seconds faster. He's got 3.5 seconds to catch, 10 minutes to go. Quick maths, I think he'll catch him by the end of the race. That's the battle for the final spot on the podium. Actually, Boland's had a good run. He had to overtake Sargent and Rios earlier on in the race after that issue. The CMR Esports driver trying to catch up to the Dynamics driver. of course, the top two in that class, far too ahead of Van der Poel and Wilson. It's to be a decent result for Boland if he can respond. Yeah, 1.5 seconds lap faster, so yeah, should be with him with about 5 minutes to go, I think.
Well, that could be interesting. Here is Kobe Clace, the Dynamics racing car, which the series that we do cover on Apex Racing TV, the Dynamics Sim Racers World GT series, had a week off this week. Back this one on a Thursday night on Apex Racing TV. A bit of a promotion for the channel on that series. That will be alongside the BSR Winter Series, which of course Sam is competing in on a Thursday night too. Could have both open and enjoy the action going on there. Right, isn't it? That is when the series takes place.
Yes, yes.
There we go.
We have quite a good system on the Radical broadcast. When we have the breaks between races, we watch you guys live. So it's yeah, quite a good system. You kind of get the best of both worlds. Usually, we can just about catch the end of the race, the end of your race, between the second and third Radical races. So it all fits in quite well.
Remember, briefly, we had two series on a Thursday night, BSR TC and BSR Porsche, and Sam Kumo knows it because he raced in it. I think he ends up being credited as the champion for that. But yeah, we had to basically hop to, for the first hour and a bit of the broadcast, we had race 1 of the BSR Porsche, then race 1 of the BSR TC, which was very, very close in terms of time. And then we had race 2 of BSR TC, then race 2 of Porsche. And I think there was a case where I think we even missed the start just because it was such a quick turnaround to get to it. But in the end, it was drops. And we're now back to just 3 races on a BSR TC night. But yeah, it was an interesting experiment.
Because that was back when it was pretty much just you, Woody, and Alex doing all the commentary, so you couldn't kind of share duties or anything. It was that's been pretty intense.
It was. New BSR TC season anyway, that is always intense. That'll be underway next month.
And actually well, I don't want to say anything too early, but that might have a Porsche series following it simultaneously, but not on the same day. We won't be going back to that, but potentially on a Sunday we might have a Porsche series, basically with the exact same schedule.
Yeah, BSR Porsches on a Sunday, I do remember that. Yeah, that'll be good to see. Quite a few BSR series, in fact, all of them on Apex Racing TV. We've got the Monday Mazdas, the Tuesday Mazdas, of course the Winter Series, and the BSR TC in a few weeks, and of course the Porsches on a Sunday too. So plenty of close quarter racing to rely on there. As we've got some here between Fialo and Boland again. Porsche may have been passed by the Ford, but he's definitely not letting him escape. As we get to the end of the race, off goes Boland. As a proof of that, he's continuing to apply the pressure, but by going off the circuit, he's just going to allow the Ford to escape just a little bit more. The gap remains around half a second between these two, as here is Clace and Bob Boland. This is what Sam was talking about, and it's the gap has got down to 0.3 of a second. Last time around, yeah, Boland was 2 seconds quicker. Manxman, 2 Manx drivers in the field then, in Josh Thompson and Bob Boland. See if he can get by. This is complete contrast to the Isle of Man TT. No, not much in the way of elevation change here at Sebring, but he will have reached the summit of one mountain if he can get this third final spot on the podium. Kobe Clace is not going to let it go without a fight. He's going to defend the inside line going into the Sunset Bend. The Mercedes of Boland goes around the outside. He's still within the limits of the track, and he's got it done. A superb move. Let's see if he can hold on to it though for the final corner. Clace will try everything he can to get a decent run on him, but it looks like the CMR Esports car's got it done, and Sammy's up to 3rd position with just over 5 minutes left it.
Yeah, that was really nicely done, kind of textbook stuff. Even plenty of room on the inside for his rival, and into 3rd place. A nice recovery there from him, as they got Coralainen versus Gregory. So I did say a few laps ago, Gregory might be able to catch by the end of the race, and he's right on the tail now. Down the inside he goes, And Coralainen just about hanging on around the outside, but now Gregory should have the better line. Will be on the outside of these two right-handers, but crucially for the left-hander. Oh, sorry, no. Oh, I'm getting my lefts and my rights the wrong way around. But regardless, Gregory is ahead and up into 6th position, if I've got that correct. Which I think I do. Yes, 6th position for Gregory now, which... he'll be a little bit frustrated that he couldn't maybe fight for the top 4 because he was with Baker and Orang earlier on. But still, a good drive from him and plenty of good overtakes as well.
4 minutes to go, and yeah, Gregory versus Coralainen. It looks set to go right down to the wire here in terms of the fight for 10th and 11th overall. At stake in the GTE class, it is 6th versus 7th. Gregory was slightly quicker than Coralainen on that last lap, so I start to pull away. Ralph Just into the pits again. The Munich Motor Club car has definitely been in the wars today, and that is going to be topped off with what I'm assuming is a late run for fuel. Into the pits he comes. If he's stopping for just a few seconds, it's almost certainly going to be a splash and dash to get him back out on circuit. 5 seconds, yeah. Well, he goes again. The 43 German, number 43 German, back on the circuit again, and it's not going to lose any positions. Largo is still in the pits. Maxon is out, and Williamson never got started. So that's the taste of play with the 8 registered Daytona prototypes. As we've got 3 minutes to go now, and looking at where Michel Constantini is on the circuit, by the time he gets round to the line, we will be starting the penultimate lap here at Sebring International Raceway for the 90-minute race here. And even though the conditions may not have fully reflected what we've got in store for the full 12-hour race ahead, it will still be some useful practice for all of these drivers here tonight, Sam.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know what time the Sebring 12 hours actually starts. I think it ends in darkness, doesn't it? I think it's something like about 10 o'clock, and this started at 9:30. So, you know, very appropriate conditions. And track just cooling down again. It went up to about 40 degrees Celsius. It's down to 32 again, and it would have been nice to watch this race kind of with the sun coming down. It is coming down, but not too much. About 4 in the afternoon in sim, and well, hopefully next time we'll actually get the time of day correct. So I'm learning how this whole time of day thing works, but hopefully we'll get our bearings a little bit better next time. And still being, like I said, very useful for these drivers to deal with that. As we have a look at Jamie Fluke just letting pass one of the Cinematog Esports drivers. That was David Saranzo just making the move. And he's been absolutely dominant. And I don't know how strong Apex Racing UK feel like they are going into the Sebring 12 hours next week, but hopefully they'll be able to score a big win, because I feel like Apex Racing UK are still a little bit, you know, very nearly, it could be a little bit more. For example, last season, of course, so nearly won a handful of the iRacing Grand Prix World Championship Series races, but just missed out a few times, got plenty of podiums, and in the special events, I think Apex Racing UK are yet to claim one. But hopefully Saturday will bring an end to that.
What is the next special event after this one on iRacing?
Sorry?
What is the next special event on iRacing after 12 hours?
Nürburgring? Yeah, I think it's Nürburgring. April.
There we go. Well, yeah, and then of course Indy 500 in May, with the Le Mans 24 hours in June. And I wonder they might be doing something extra for the 6 hours of the Glen, and one off is Lee Deemer, the Welshman, off, and that is resulted in no positions lost for him, but a little bit of a wake-up call as our race leader Michel Constantini is onto the final lap of the race then here at Sebring International Raceway. Pretty easy Saturday afternoon drive for him. Got the lead, had a pretty decent one by the end of the opening lap, and never looked back from there really. Left the likes of Ribolo, Saransto, Robinson, Just, Largo and Maxon, when they were all still running, fight amongst themselves, and managed to keep the car pretty much clean along the way. We have seen a few half moments for him, but they've all not resulted in much, and anything, it's just a little bit of loss of time. He is going to be on his way now through the second half of the lap, and Sam, for the Daytona prototypes, you've always got to worry about the traffic, and he looks like he's managed it well, especially with 51 registered cars in this race. And looks like as long as he doesn't make any mistakes or anything terrible happen to him between now and the end of the lap, he's going to be coming through to take a thoroughly deserved victory here.
Absolutely, and of course, a lot of credit has to go to his team owner, Marco Barbanera. I don't know if he's watching along with us now, but I'm sure he'll take all the credit for this one, and hopefully they'll have a strong run in the 12 hours next week. And yeah, great to see so many DPs. I realise there's only about 6 DPs we had out there, but it's still good to see that this car, which personally is my favourite in all of iRacing, really is an underappreciated car. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more participation in this car scene in the official series as he approaches the final corner now.
Into Sunset Bend, through the final corner, Michał Konstantini for 1050 Barbanera Racing wins the Apex Racing TV 90 minutes of Sebring. Jamie Fluke, the Apex Racing UK driver, is going to come through and take the GTE win. He has not got to the finish line just yet, but one driver that is about to cross the line is Jan van der Poel. He might not be related to the cyclist, but he's definitely pedalled well today, and he's going to come across the line and take the victory. The Belgian in the Tuk Tuk Patrol Racing Mercedes. Second place in the Daytona prototypes will be Julien Ribelow. He is just a little bit away from the checkered flag, but second place in the GTDs is going to be Jamie Wilson. The Audi has done well today, the Team Chimera 87 car, and he's going to come across the line and take the runners-up spots in class. Julien Ribelow is next to come across the line in terms of the podium in the Daytona prototypes. He was able to get that second spot towards the end of the race to the result of the demise of Chris Robinson, who has already crossed the line. That's how far behind he was after he had to make another visit to the pits. But here comes the Frenchman now in the Simatok eSport car in the Daytona prototype, the Corvette Daytona prototype. And he's going to get second with David Soranzo, his teammate, making it 2 Simatok eSport cars on the podium. Here comes Jamie Fluke at last. Apex Racing UK gets it done at Sebring. He wins in his class. Dion Fialo is going to just about keep Cedric Bolan at bay. Got past him after a Titanic duel, and he is going to come into Sunset Bend now. Could have won it potentially. Him and Josh Thompson could have potentially won it, but second place is going to have to do. Bolan is going to get third. Going to be 3 different cars on the podium. It's Ferrari, it's Ford, it's Porsche on the podium in the GTEs, and that is it in terms of finishes. Third place in the GTDs, by the way, was we will tell you in a moment, because my results screen has just gone crazy. So when we get the graphics up, we'll tell you all about that. But cars come back to the pits. Donuts are being performed by Michał Konstantini. Jamie Fluke doesn't know where to go. Oh, the Porsche flies by. Jamie gets by, and oh no, that was contact there. Not the most ideal place to do donuts, but hey, he's won the race. He can do what he likes. Michał Konstantini celebrates and will be on his way back to the winner's circle. Right then, race results up on the screen. Michał Konstantini wins here at Sebring. Second for Julien Ribelow, third for David Soranzo, and then Chris Robinson finishing in 4th place in the end. Jamie Fluke wins it in the GTEs with Dion Fialo in second, Cedric Bolan in third, then Dave Baker 4th, Marcelo Rang, the German, in 5th, and Ben Gregory in 6th. Michael Dreschler in 7th, then Pertti Korolainen 8th, Emmanuel Galinia in 9th, and Lewis Bibby in 10th in the PK car. Rolf Just in his Daytona prototype finishing in 15th place overall in the end. The Munich Motor Club DP taking a few visits to the pits, that must be said, during today's race. Then Lee Diemer, the Welshman, in 16th overall with Ronald Moons and John Robert in 18th. And moving on further back, 19th for Tobias Berger, then Pat Gallo, and then the first of the GTDs, or the GT3s, it's Jan van der Poel, and then Jamie Wilson in second. Lee Woodburn there in his GTE, and Bob Boland's rounding up the podium, getting past Kobe Clace with a few laps to go. There's Pedro Bragança, the Portuguese Spirit Sim Racing car, was involved in some contact early on. Then after that, a flurry of GT3s. Roger Rias, Mike Sargent, the Canadian, involved in a bit of the action today. Stuart Musselwhite, and as the donuts get performed by the top three in the GTEs, well, a few of them anyway, some of them have exited the session there. Stuart Musselwhite, then Dustin May, Nathan Parkinson. Not the best place to do donuts, guys, with two walls pretty much right next to you. Jamie Fluke's doing it anyway. Then it's Josh Thompson, 14 laps down, Marcus Broy and Spencer McCarthy. Emilio Largo in his Daytona Press involved in his June race. Dave Clements, the Aussie, in the Redback race team in 36th place. And the list goes on as the donuts continue to get done on the front straight between our two class winners. Stefan Aber, 26 laps down. Renzo Gomez, Karen Maxon, Sergio Souza, Ben Galite, Jean Navarra, Tobias Ruff, Alexis German, and Josh Rayfield, Reese Gold, Paolo Martins, Dave Janssen out very early on in the Phantom 71 car. Then Jake Goodwin, and then the cars that didn't start the race, Fraser Williamson and Peter Petruzzi in what was a mammoth field for a enjoyable 90-minute endurance race around Sebring International Raceway today.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully we'll have some interviews with drivers. And I think first up we'll have a chat with Michele Constantini. And Michele, well done out there. Absolutely dominant in the DP class. I guess maybe a little bit more challenge would have been useful, but still useful preparation for the event on Saturday.
Oh yeah, definitely. It was especially very useful for knowing when to lap GTs and GT3s, but also very useful to get to know the setup as well. We still have a little bit of work to do, especially in hot conditions and with work tires, but that's a good base to start and very confident for the race.
Absolutely, it must be such a challenge to develop a setup which can perform well in 45-degree temperatures, but also 20-degree temperatures. It's completely different to what these special events were just a few months ago.
Yeah, especially because I tested a lot in colder conditions, as I'm scheduled to race from 4 p.m. in sim time, so it's already a little bit colder than the hotter conditions in the track. So I tested a lot in colder conditions. So still useful to get to know the car, how the car behaves in hot conditions, in case I have to jump in the car. So yeah, definitely very useful.
Absolutely. And in terms of the 12 hours next week, what are your aims for that race? I imagine you guys are going to be top split. Are you going to go for the overall win?
Yeah, we hope so. Definitely getting a lot of preparation in. So yeah, we're pretty confident in a top 5, maybe a podium even. We were pretty close to the podium at Daytona, and we know Daytona is very big in terms of participation. So a podium around Sebring would not be bad at all.
And in terms of the multi-class factor in that race, of course, we've already talked about how you've learnt a little bit already, kind of how to deal with the traffic. Do you think it's going to be particularly chaotic? Do you think it's going to be much worse than Daytona?
Yeah, it will be quite tough as well because the classes are very close in terms of pace. So yeah, it will be a lot tougher to lap cars, especially because there's not many places to pass around Sebring. While in Daytona you have the whole oval basically to get past the GT cars. So yeah, it will be a lot tougher, but definitely a lot of fun as well. So that's what we're looking for as well.
Absolutely, it's been good to talk to you, Michele. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, would definitely like to thank my team for the setup work we did together. And thank you guys as well for putting up this race, which was definitely useful for next week. And yeah, that's about it.
Thanks, Michele, and hopefully we'll see you soon on Apex Racing TV.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, next up, Adam, who are we going to have?
Well, we've got. Well, we spoke to one of the Daytona Pro sites. We'll go and get somebody from the GTEs, and that is Ben Gregory. So we'll drag him up now. Was in a.
Hit him.
Oh, sorry, Ben. Drags you up in conversation. Anyway, welcome to the commentary box. We've got you now. 5th place result in class anyway for you today, I believe, and good battle with quite a few cars. You were right in the thick of the action at one point. Tell us about the race, how the race unfolded from your perspective.
It was actually a lot of fun. I basically thought, I'll use this as a good competitive test, basically for next weekend. So, did kind of went off strategy. I think no one else took tyres at the stop, which I feel kind of a bit annoyed about, especially when I was running so well with Dave and right in the P4 spot. But yeah, it's good if you got a good idea of what I'm in for.
Obviously, there was the majority of the GTE field was run by Porsches. Is that something that we're probably going to be seeing in the actual event next week? And if so, what sort of advantages is the Ferrari going to have around here compared to the Porsches?
I don't know. It's kind of I feel like Porsche is kind of the most popular car at the moment. It's just because of how high downforce the thing is. But I'm definitely finding the Ferrari really good on the brakes. A little twitchy on the throttle, but I definitely think we're going to probably stick with it. I obviously talk to the rest of the team, but we'll see what happens.
In terms of stints for a 12-hour, I've had the, I don't know whether it's the misfortune or fortune to do a 24-hour race on iRacing, but in terms of a 12-hour race, how are the stint lengths going to work? Are you going to see a few drivers double stinting, or is it just going to be single stints and then getting out of the car?
I think most people are going to be double stinting. I found out, well, again, what I found out today, I felt like a double stint was definitely possible, but you are falling off a lot. We were able to somehow manage to do a quadruple stint at Daytona somehow, but I don't think anyone's going to be doing that. Anyone's going to be doing that here on tyres.
Also, you were able to compete with some of the drivers you know well. Did that help in terms of your preparation? Because there were a few familiar faces out there, like Dave Baker and Jamie Fluke as well, in and amongst you in that class today.
Yeah, I had a bit of a grin on my face when Josh and Dave were both behind me, because that's going to be the first and only time it's going to happen for a very long time.
Oh, great. Well, before we let you go, Ben, do you want to send a quick shout out to anybody?
Yeah, thanks to the sponsors, TechSense and the guys, helping our team get a big step up on how well we're doing. All the guys have been making setups. We're pretty well prepared, and I honestly think we're going to put a good shout in for this 12 hours.
Great. Well, I still believe you're the only driver to win the BSRTC, win a BSRTC title on a controller. So I think we can still give you that title. But yeah, well done on the race today, and yeah, thanks for taking the time to come and speak to us. I'll let you resume your conversation with I would let you go and resume the conversation with Kobe down in the interview room, but I think we're going to drag him up for an interview. So yeah, thanks for taking the time and speaking to us, and we'll hopefully see you in a few weeks.
Yeah, so see you guys, man.
Car crash event outro there of the interview with Ben Gregory there, but we have got Kobe Clace waiting patiently, so we'll drag him up now, and Sam, you'll be able to get a word with one of the Soundnut drivers today in the GTDs. He just missed out on a podium as well, and here he is now in the interview room, in the commentary box.
Yes, hi Kobe. Well done out there on that result. It must have been tough as a GTE to deal with all those drivers which were faster than you. Did you find the multi-class factor particularly challenging today?
Yeah, I guess so. It was a bit challenging. It was fun though. It gives you a bit of chances to catch up with other guys or lose time as well. I think it's it's nice to have other classes as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. You just lost out on that podium position to Bod Boland in those final few laps. It must have been quite a lot of pressure when he was chasing you. Was he on fresher tyres? Maybe what was the reason why he was a little bit faster in those closing stages?
Well, yeah, I think so. In general, he was faster than I was, definitely. But my front tires were just completely gone. So my pace was really slow as well. But yeah, he did a great job catching up that quick and made a really nice pass on the outside. Did not expect that. Unfortunately, I had to slow down on the straight. But anyways, no, he did a great job catching up. Yeah.
Absolutely. And how are you finding the temperature differences? We've already talked about how you got to build a setup which is good in both 40-degree and 20-degree track temperatures. And of course, today there was quite a variance as well. Did you notice it too much out there?
Yeah, I did. In the beginning of the race, the first 20 minutes, the car felt pretty good. But when it started, the temperatures really started climbing. I've started to feel some difficulties, especially with the front of the car. Yeah. So my setup wasn't that great, unfortunately. But I better look next time.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are your aims for the Sebring event next week? Who are you racing with, and what is your aim in your respective split?
First of all, to finish, I'm driving with the Dynamics crew, so with Jochen, Luc, and Steven de Wolf and Jeremy. We're just going to try to have so much fun, but a podium would be nice.
Absolutely. We wish you the best of luck, Kobe. And before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
First of all, you guys for organizing this event. It was fun, really fun. Thank you for that. And yeah, the Sim Racers World series for the car and the setup they gave me, and to the Dynamics crew for their time as well. So no, thank you guys.
Thanks, Kobe, and we'll see you soon on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, cheers.
I think we might have one more interview this time with Bod Boland, and Bod, well done out there. You must be really pleased with that podium, just about gaining that position in the closing couple of laps.
Yeah, hi guys. Firstly, thanks very much for hosting. It was a good race. Good race. I messed up early on. Had a spin in the last corner, hit the wall. So that put paid to any hopes I had of challenging Jan, although he was very quick. I don't think I could have ran at his pace over an hour and a half.
Yeah, it would have been very difficult for you. At what point did you realise you were going to be in a fight with Kobe Clays in those closing stages? Were you pursuing him for a particularly long time, or were you just concentrating on your own lap times?
No, after the start, I was just trying to be a little bit smoother. I didn't really know where anyone was. I didn't see Kobe was about 9 or 10 seconds ahead of me until right near the end. And it's easier chasing somebody. Not so easy when you're getting chased.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did you find the multi-class factor out there? We saw quite a few GT3s getting involved in instance, but you managed to keep it, apart from that Sunset Bend incident, you kept it relatively clean.
Yeah, I was conscious of just trying to stay out of trouble after I had my spin. Used up my fast repair. It happens. It happens. Everyone's out for a bit of fun. It's good.
Absolutely. And before we let you go, Bod, anyone you'd like to thank?
Just the guys at CMR. We do a lot of practicing, and it would be boring if you were doing it on your own. So Andy Hopley, Chris Moretta, and the guys. It's really good, and once again, thanks to you guys. It was really good, really enjoyable. I don't think I'd like to go a couple of stints on the same tyres again, though. It's like driving on ice.
Yeah, I can imagine. Thanks, Bod, and we'll see you soon on Apex Racing TV.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, Adam, I think that pretty much rounds us off for tonight. Another successful one of these events, I think. I think Bathurst, unfortunately, of course, with the day-night issues, we lost a few drivers early on, but I think today, 30 drivers at the checkered flag. It was very good.
Oh, it's been a long stint in the box for you as well. I think, hasn't it?
Horrendous. Yeah, I did the Euro V8s for about an hour, and now done this for a couple of hours. Isn't it? But yeah, good race today, and shows how popular it is. These drivers definitely all want to get some practice in before the 12 hours, and to have 51 cars registered, that's no mean feat. All of them all eager to get some extra time in the car and
in conditions that will more or less replicate what they'll get in the actual Sebring 12 hours in a couple of days' time. And we will be watching along with interest as well. Of course, we will probably know a few drivers that are getting involved, and hopefully everybody that has watched on the YouTube stream today has enjoyed it, and will be given an incentive to watch it on the iRacing Esports Network when it's on next weekend. But that is just about all we've got time for today here at Sebring. Well, thanks to Sam Fitzpatrick for joining me, and for Sam Kumo for being on the cameras. It has been a fun one, and with 51 cars, I think Sam definitely had his work cut out in trying to show us the best battles on the circuit, but we pretty much got everything. And what an exciting evening it was, with some decent battles in all three classes. Hopefully we'll have more of the same when the next special event rolls around in a few months' time. But for now, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and from all of us here, from me, from Sam, and Sam here at the Sebring International Raceway, bye for now.